Welcome to the Whoacast number 28. I'm late on releasing this one, I know, a couple months back, and I'm already behind. Actually have good reason, though. I'm not going to get into it too much, but a little bit of a weird thing. I went to the doctor last week because something's been bothering my right ear, and it does turn out something's going on there. I don't really know what yet. So I'm going to wait till I find out before I say anything, but obviously I'm a little bit sensitive about my ears, so that's been preoccupying a lot of my thought the last couple of days. Also, work has just been crushing me right now. We had a product demo this week, and I was up till all hours of the night figuring stuff out. I had one commit that I made that was at like 1:45 in the morning. So it's been one of those weeks that just had to prioritize some things. Anyway, we have one more track to finish on vocals for this little EP we've been working on, and then I'm going to send that off to get mixed and figure out what to do to release it. Still working on the album as well. I do have some ideas there, but we still have to talk it out and hash it out as a band. I also am starting a new band, which is kind of cool. I haven't done that in a while now. Don't really have a lot of details to offer up on it. Once it's solidified, I'll talk a little bit more about it. The Miserables do have a show coming up at Livewire on August 23rd. It was supposed to be at Fizz originally. I don't know what happened there, but I guess all the MP shows events got moved out of there, which, considering the last time we played there, how hot it was in that place, seriously, it was like high 80s. Humid as could be, and they had no air conditioning on. It was unbearably hot. The picture of me from that show on stage is hilarious because you can just see like I'm glistening just because of there's no part of me that is not completely covered in sweat. So I'm okay with the move, I think, for this show. I haven't been up to Livewire in a while either. It's great. In the last couple of weeks, I've basically just started ignoring the news. I'm at this place right now where I just don't care. It's gotten so exhausting, and just everything that I was seeing for a while was just complete bullshit. It's awesome. There's something to be said for some good old early 90s style apathy. I see posts about news on Facebook or whatever, and at first I was like, maybe I'll comment on this, but then for a while I would start typing and then I'd be like, no, I'm not going to. There's absolutely no point in doing that. And I would delete it and then just move on. And now I'm just going right on by. All the election shit, all this just dumb news. I just don't care. It's like I was telling somebody the other day, that whole election thing has just become a reality show. There's absolutely no substance. Most of what's going on is staged for TV ratings or whatever. It's complete horseshit. So fuck it. I'm out. Anyway, this podcast was a lot of fun. Aaron Vaughn came by. He's in two bands right now, Braver Days, which is a Chicago band, and then OC45, which is an East Coast band he started playing drums for recently, and he's been on the road a bunch with them already. Pete came in to chime in on this one. He was just there to hang out before we had band practice, and I ended up doing the podcast at the practice space this time. So there is a little background noise that you'll notice going on. Other bands playing in the room. It's not too bad though. So I didn't do too much to try and get rid of it in the mix. But Pete being there helps it derail in some awesome ways. I'm sure we sounded like a bunch of curmudgeons here and there throughout this thing, but hey, that's a bit of who we are. So anyway, let's get to it. Oh, what's been going on, dude?
Dude, just fucking hustling, man. It's festival season, so I'm busy with fucking work here, sound gig shit, doing a lot of monitors at Bottom Lounge. And
You're working at Bottom Lounge now?
Yep, that's my main gig now. Been over there for the last I've been working there for about 3 years on and off now, but yeah, it's pretty much my main gig.
Oh shit.
Yeah, monitor guy.
I don't think you were doing that. Well, when did we do that? When did we do that Braver Days show at Sub T? Man, that was a while ago now, wasn't it?
Fuck yeah, dude. That was like, I want to say that was like probably a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
A year and a half for sure, yeah.
Are you guys still doing Braver Days?
Yeah, Braver Days is still going on, man. Like, I actually just, we were supposed to practice today, but our bass player's sick. But,
yeah.
You know, it is what it is. But
well, it's good that you're staying active, though,
yeah,
dude.
yeah,
and you're playing drums in this other band, too.
Yeah.
What's it called? You're going to have to give me the lowdown on what this band is, because I don't know much about it.
It's OC45. They're like just like a punk band, straight up punk rock, hardcore, pop punk kind of mix. They've been a band for 4 years, based out of Boston. I met them when I was playing with Voice of Addiction.
Oh, okay.
Year. And we played with them at Cobra Lounge, and then we played with them in Boston. And then early this year, Adam from the Cruiser Sonata tagged me in a post that OC45 put up saying they needed a drummer for a 2-month tour. And like at that point, work was like at a dead stop, and nothing going on. I was like, fuck yeah, dude, sign me up. Did 2 months with them, 10 weeks.
Where'd you guys go?
It was coast to coast.
Nice.
Like all over, like Boston to California, then back up fucking to Chicago again. We played Chicago twice, and then down to Vegas for punk rock bowling, and then back.
In 10 weeks?
Yeah. It was
So what's the worst drive?
Well,
there's got to be a bad one in there somewhere with that routing.
Yeah, the routing wasn't too bad. The longest drive, I want to say, was like, we had like one 10-hour drive.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Those guys are really good with their routing, and they've been a band for, 4 years, and they've been touring like nonstop. Like they started the band and then immediately started touring. So they've got like a pretty good network around the country. And it was a really good tour, man. Like, I don't have a license, so I didn't have to fucking drive.
Oh, shit.
I just laid in
That's
the back.
the way to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull that excuse from now on.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Pete's just looking like, fuck you, man.
We had a guitar player who was just, his way of avoiding driving was...
Oh, man, we should just give you a fucking microphone at this point.
Wrong.
Hang on a second. I'm going to plug in.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
Are you sure you want to do that?
Talk into that, Pete.
It's a miracle that anyone wants me to talk. Usually they want me to stop talking.
Signal. What's the longest drive you ever did? Check.
I have no idea. I really
You have had to have done a wicked one before.
I'm sure I have. I just don't remember. I've done a good job of blocking a lot of things out.
So I think I told you we did Southern California to Worcester, Massachusetts.
That's awful.
Is that not the dumbest?
That's. Oh well, I do remember doing St. Louis one night and New York City the next night.
Did you guys play in Worcester at all?
Where's that at?
It's west of Boston.
No. It started in Boston, and then we went like down to like Brooklyn area, and then it cut across. Like,
if you go to fucking Boston with these dudes again, go to Worcester.
Yeah.
And just hang out for a little bit. It is such a fucking weird town, man. We got asked by 2 different guys. We were playing in Worcester at like the big venue in Worcester that seats like fucking 1,000 people or something like that.
right.
2 dudes asked if they could join our band that night, as though we just happened to need somebody. Yeah, we showed up without a bass player, dude. We really need somebody for this fucking show. It was so goofy, dude. All right, so sorry to like
No worries,
interrupt it, but I figured just in case Pete has something funny to say.
Yeah.
Now I'll just get quiet.
Yeah, now he won't say shit. I probably shouldn't have given you a microphone, but fuck it. So tell me about the tour.
So with the tour, basically, like the story, a lot of people want to know, like how I met this band. Like, how did this dude from Michigan to Chicago end up with some?
Oh, I fucking forgot about that. You're from Michigan too.
Jackson, Michigan.
Yeah, you're from Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh, so you'd love Worcester then, dude.
So I met these guys last year when I was drumming, filling in for Voice of Addiction, and those guys came out and played a gig with us at Cobra Lounge, and I saw their band. I thought they were fucking awesome rad dudes. Like, I was really into the material that they were doing, And I just remember watching him play and saying to myself, like, man, I really fucking would like to be the drummer of this band. Because it was just so cool. Like, I could just tell that these guys, like, the chemistry they had on stage was exactly like what I've always wanted to have in any of the bands that I've been in. And then, funny story, we ended up going and playing with them out in Boston with VOA. The guys, they needed a drummer for this tour that they had starting in April of this year, and it was 10 weeks. I left March 24th, did like a week and a half of rehearsals with them, and just fucking hit the road, and it was great, man. I've been on a few tours throughout my career, I guess you could say, as a musician, and this one by far was the most easygoing, the best route. Everything was well put together.
The longest one you've done too?
It's definitely the longest one. Yeah, it was 2 months. So it was a long one, but it was great, man. And the support that the dudes from OC45 have across the country is just.
What label are they on?
They go on Bird's Eye Records, which I think is just a indie label of their own.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they're strictly DIY, and I think the goal for the future is definitely like a Fat Records thing. We're like sold on that and fucking going for it. So yeah, we're doing. I got to actually go to Boston end of this month. August 2nd, we have a show with Darkbuster, which is a band that's doing a 3-show Triple Crown reuniting for that, which is Lenny from the Street Dogs.
Oh,
it's
nice.
an old project of his, yeah, and they announced that they were.
Whatever happened to the fucking Street Dogs?
They're on tour with the Bosstones right now. Yeah. It's actually the last night of their tour. I think they're in New York.
I like
tonight.
that first big record that they had, man. That record was fucking a jam.
Yeah,
There were a couple tunes on there that were fucking rad.
Yeah, I wasn't really familiar with those guys until like last year. I heard some stuff by them, and then come to find out the OC45 boys are like homies with those guys. They're like their mentors. And
don't you kind of feel like that's everybody from Boston, though?
Yeah. Yeah. Street Dogs are probably.
I've never met a Boston band that didn't know literally every other Boston band, or at least somebody.
Sounds like another city I know.
Yeah, well, I guess that happens out here a lot too. That's very true.
Yeah. So we got those that reunion show coming up, and then we're doing a Fat Records tour after party at the House of Blues in Boston.
Oh, nice.
And that's on August 12th, so I get to fly back out for that.
They're doing that here too, the Fat Records thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's gonna be really fun, man. I was super stoked. Like at first, I thought it was gonna be an acoustic thing because we're doing the after party after NoFX plays.
Yeah.
Hey, go figure. NoFX is opening for us.
Yeah. No.
And so yeah, we got that coming up, and it's really cool just to be a part of that, even though it's like the actual after party, but it's still gonna be a rockin' fucking show, and we're gonna.
Where
have a good
is
time.
the after party?
It's in the House of Blues. I can't remember the name of the sidebar room that they have there, but they got a stage and stuff in there, and we're gonna load in early and sound check, and then I think we get to check out the show, and and then as soon as NoFX is done and they're starting the party.
Is there an album out right now?
There is an EP that just released. It's the Burn It EP. Those guys just released it. I want to say it was either late last year or early this year. They just got the vinyls in after our tour, so we didn't have the vinyl for tour. So the show with Darkbuster, and then we're doing one more warm-up show before that. Those are going to be the actual vinyl release
That's
shows.
what's kind of fucked up right now. Like, well, we'll talk about this later, but like everybody talking about vinyl right now and putting anything out there, like, dude, you're looking at 6 months, possibly 9, to get a fucking vinyl record back right now.
Yeah.
Isn't that batshit crazy, dude?
Why?
Because everybody is pressing vinyl again, and there's only so many plants.
Right.
And so one of them recently actually made the first new lathe, like, since the 80s. Like, that's been actually manufactured. Like, they actually made a new one.
What happened to all the old ones?
They use all the ones that were still working, they use, and they were like, scavenge for a long time. Nobody was pressing vinyl, so if like one broke and another broke, they'd just like make one working one out of the couple of broken ones. So they were just like salvaging parts from shit for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fucking weird, man. So yeah, I don't even know. Like, But you guys put it out digitally first, I assume.
Yeah, there was
right?
a digital release, and we had discs for tour and everything. But that's the one thing I learned about this last tour, as opposed to a lot of the other tours that I've been on, is I was really paying attention to what people buy for merchandise, and it's all soft goods and vinyls. Like people,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
every now and
Nobody
then,
wants to buy a CD
Yeah, nobody
anymore.
wants CDs
No.
anymore. That shit's obsolete.
No,
So-
we gave them away from our first record. Like, I mean, yeah, we have them for sale on Bandcamp, and
Yeah.
once in a while somebody is, nice enough to throw $5 at it, but then I'm an asshole and I'm like, shit, now I gotta go to the post office.
It cost you more to ship it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think you can sell CDs anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't sell them at shows at all, that's for sure. Usually I just end up giving them away to everybody anyway, so yeah, but we don't have vinyl, so
It is
That
high in
sucks.
demand, that is for sure.
but you probably sell t-shirts and shit like that.
T-shirts, soft goods. I mean, that's when I see a band. Like, yeah, I want the music, but if I go see a band and they have cool merch, that's that's what I want to spend my money on. People like clothes, so yeah. I mean, soft goods definitely, and vinyl were like a huge seller on tour.
How much vinyl does the band have out?
They have one EP, the When It Hits EP, and that one was on CD and vinyl. And they had a full length, which was their first recording. They did the full length, so they've got one full length and 2 EPs, and both EPs are now on vinyl.
Does it seem to you like full lengths are going to the wayside?
Yes, because I feel like a lot of bands like right now are just trying to release, like short EPs to see, to get a feel for, if they're scouting out a label or what kind of, gigs they're going to get or where they want to go musically. If you blow your load on like a full length album, you might just be
Well, also, I think people just don't have the attention span.
that
So
too.
far I've
Yep.
done exactly the opposite
Yeah.
of this. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have, but it seems to me, and I mean, I don't know shit, but it just seems, from what I'm seeing, it seems like full lengths are going to the wayside, and like EPs are the way to go lately.
I mean, EPs have always been
6
around,
songs.
but
Yeah, but it seems like they're more popular now than a full length.
Yeah.
But see, like, some bands get away with it, like fucking Pairs. Like, I look at what they did, I mean, that was kind of like, that's a pretty modern way of doing things. They're on their third fucking release of the same record
Really?
at this point.
Wow.
So they released it themselves. Then Ryan from Off With Their Heads put out another release of it, and then they just got picked up by Fat, and Fat's gonna press the same fucking record.
And it's
Right.
a full length.
Yeah, it's a full-length record. It's not an EP.
Yeah.
It's a I would say shorter full length, but it's definitely not an EP by any means whatsoever. So it's kind of weird, man, that you can get. But I guess that's the way you can do things now. Is like you can actually, because you can just climb that ladder, right? Like you can be like, okay, we sold like, I don't know what they pressed themselves on their own, but maybe they sold a few hundred copies of it, and they tour a bunch on it. Ryan notices them, puts it out. I'm guessing he probably did between 500 and 1,000. Sell a shitload of those, and then Fat's like, oh, okay, maybe with our market we can push another couple thousand copies or something like that.
Obviously, I'm a little bit older, so it's just funny to me that 500 to 1,000 is a lot of copies.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? I remember.
it might be more than that. I'm intentionally lowballing, but
Yeah, but I mean, it could. What do you think the most it is? 1,500? You know what I mean? 2,000?
yeah.
You think it's even that high? I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing shit.
Well, certainly not them putting it out on their own.
Right. I mean, but it's.
I would venture to say
funny to
Ryan
me.
didn't press that many.
Yeah, it just seems like. Yeah, but.
But
then
Fat
again, you
can,
don't know how many people
but
are
Fat
stealing
can
it.
probably sell in the thousands
Yeah.
at least,
Yeah,
right?
once they do it.
Yeah, and then they can make a real profit off of it at least. I mean, which obviously is part of the motivation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I hear that somewhere through the grapevine that Fat Records, when they sign a band, like they'll put them in their studio and they'll pay for all the expenses to record the
Yeah.
record, and then I think they just take like a percentage of the distribution or something. I'm
Yeah.
not entirely sure, but that was just some stuff that I overheard some of the fellas saying on the road.
Yeah.
That Fat does, and yeah, it's a
well, hey man, if you can get recording costs covered,
Yeah.
fucking
absolutely.
that's a huge part of the battle. I mean, I know because I just paid to fucking record our record, and I'm still recovering. I will be for at least another year.
Yeah.
So
I definitely know OC45's next move in the studio is a full-length record, which I'll be a part of that, which will be my first record full-length on drums, which I'm looking pretty forward to.
Well, you play bass, too.
Yeah, I was a bass player for years, and I played guitar for fucking years, too, man. And drums, the switch was definitely the most rewarding thing for me musically since I can remember. Like, I just was so tired. Like, I was playing in a cover band recently before I switched over to the drums, and I was just, like, so sick of, like, I don't know, man. I just wanted to start all over again. Yeah. I wanted to play the music that, you know, got me into music in the first place, which was, like, punk rock, skate punk, you know, and it was just, ever since I've made that switch, it's just been, like, I've been busy. I've been doing the things that I want to do musically.
Did you play drums before this?
I played drums, but just not seriously.
Yeah.
And I was, lucky for me, like, I was always in some really, you know, cool bands with some awesome drummers. So being a bass player and paying attention to how the rhythm section works, like, I learned a lot of my chops from, like, a lot of my good drumming buddies, and being, like, a sound engineer too, working at a lot of the local venues. Like, I've seen some really good drummers and some really bad drummers, and I got to distinguish.
Can't say anybody's bad, man. That's not PC.
Was that your most natural instrument?
I would say that probably the bass guitar was my most natural. Drums has been the most challenging, but definitely the most rewarding. I feel like as
drums is fun, though.
It's such a blast, like, physically, mentally, and it's just like, when I played bass, it kind of seemed like it was a fun instrument, but I felt like I could just go anywhere and do anywhere with the bass. I could join any band, you know, as long as it wasn't crazy jazz shit or, you know, in the rock or punk realm. I felt like I could just go anywhere and play bass, you know, but with drums, it's different. It's like a challenge. I had to teach myself certain techniques, you know. I had to teach myself how to do doubles on a single kick pedal because I don't want to cheat and use double bass. And it was just like learning all this stuff and, like, taking it in was
like
just...
Nickelman Brain from Iron Maiden. He refuses to use a double kick.
Yeah.
He does everything with one.
Yep.
I can't play drums for shit. So
I can't anymore. I used to.
Yeah. Well, and I don't have the time. Like, I spend my time doing other shit. So I feel like I'd have to make...
Drinking?
I knew you were going to fucking say that. I knew that was coming. You know what? I don't want to hear it from you. You do not get to say that.
Oh, you did give him mics.
No, man, I try and learn how to play the drums, but I'd have to put in so much. I have no foot coordination.
Yeah, it took a lot. It took a lot, and it's been great, and it's gotten me to where I want to be, exactly where I want to be. Like, I want to be on the road nonstop. I want to be in the studio nonstop, and, you know, it's fucking awesome. I just need to practice more and more and more.
Yeah.
I want to get to that level to where it's just like shit just comes naturally, and I don't have to think about stuff, and I'll get there one of these days.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't play as much as I write now, which I find is weird because I don't practice my instrument as much, which is strange. Like, definitely, like, practice.
Not what I heard.
What's that? Oh, Jesus. Wow. Okay, now that's the Pete I was looking for.
I heard you practice your instrument quite a bit there, Joe.
Oh, maybe that wasn't a good idea.
Told you.
No, really, like, I've definitely, like, noticed, especially this past year, like, when we went into the studio and we were recording, I'm like, man, I got fucking practice more. Like,
yeah.
You know, it took me a few extra takes to get some leads down and stuff like that. And, but that's good, man. I mean, you know, if you're keeping yourself busy and fucking you enjoy what you're doing, I mean, that's definitely important. So.
Yeah, I've definitely paved this lifestyle that I'm living now, like, with nothing but music, and, you know, I do audio on the side to make a living or whatever, but I don't have anything else, man. I dropped out of high school when I was in 10th grade, had no fucking idea what to do, and my mom's like, well, you better get a fucking job. So, like, 2 weeks later, I was working at a guitar store, and, you know, I learned guitars, I learned repairs, and from there...
In Jackson?
In Jackson, yeah.
Oh, shit. Which guitar store?
It was called Sound Effects.
Okay.
It was right downtown Jackson. It was the first shop I ever worked at. I was probably like 17, 18 years old. I had no fucking clue about anything. And the guy in there, Scott, my buddy, he was just... I would always go in there and fucking ask the dumbest questions, and he was just like, man, this kid's stupid, but I think he's got some potential. I remember I walked in there one day after buying a bass guitar from the pawn shop. It was like one of my first my first or second bass, and it was an Ibanez fretless bass.
There you go. That sounds like a smart idea.
I walked into that shop, and the guy's like, this is the first time I met Scott, and he's like, so what, you playing a fucking band or something? And I'm like, yeah, I'm in a punk band. He's like, oh, you're in a punk band, huh? He's like, you're in a punk band and you play a fretless bass? And I was just like, yeah, you know, why not? And he's just shaking his head. So I eventually started working in that store and just, you know, learning guitars. And the cool thing about that shop was the owner owns Sound Effects, which is also a sound company. So it kind of went from when people would bring in their used guitars and amps, I would turn every little single knob on every little amp and just listen to the sounds that it would make. And then I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then I kind of got an ear for guitar tones a little bit. And then from there, I moved to Lansing, Michigan, and kind of got into the sound spectrum of things. Started working at Max
Bar.
You
live in Lansing?
I lived in Lansing.
You worked at Max?
Yeah, Max
you know,
Bar.
I went to school out there.
Yeah, you went to MSU, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I watched all my friends go to MSU and get drunk.
Please.
Here you go. Ready?
That's the reason I play music instead of sports.
I'll take another one, yeah.
I guess I'll have to let that sit for 10 minutes.
When were you living in Lansing?
I was living in Lansing, I want to say like 2003 to like 2006.
Just after me then.
Yeah.
I graduated from MSU in 2003, but I graduated after I stopped living there. I already stopped living there in mid 2002 because then I went on tour and I took time off.
Yeah, I landed.
Almost didn't finish school, but then I went back. So
nice. I landed.
Usually when someone tells me they took time off from school, that means they dropped out.
Well, see, mine was different because I had finished all my classwork. But as a music major, you had to do like a bunch of other shit to graduate. It wasn't just like you pass all your exams and you're done.
Yeah.
Basically, it was like grad school where you had to have like a jury, which is basically like your dissertation. Like you got to fucking prepare like a performance and play it in front of a bunch of professors, and then they grade you. Yeah, it's really nerve-wracking
pretty
too.
gnarly.
And then as a composition major, so I had to do three things. I had to do the jury on the violin. Then as a composition major, I had to put on a concert of my own music at the hall.
You're not a nerd at all.
Fuck you. And then I had to take a piano exam.
Just gets better. Keep going.
Yeah. No, those are the three things. Yeah. So I had to do all three of those, and I hadn't finished any of them. And then I kind of just left, and I was like, well, I don't have time for that right now because I'm going on the road.
Do another
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Well, yeah, dumb shit being
going on tour.
Yeah. Which, yeah, so, you know, is what it is. That's wild, though. So you worked at Max?
I worked at Max, and I actually worked at Elderly Instruments, too.
Oh, dude, I love Elderly. Yeah. I was just talking to Dean about Elderly the other day.
It's a cool
because he
shop.
bought one of his guitars there. The, the silver Gretsch. Yeah, that he, dude, guitar is fucking pristine, gorgeous. Dude. It's a gorgeous guitar, and it sounds fucking amazing. And he bought that shit at Elderly. And I think I bought a guitar there, but I ended up selling it.
I sold Jeff Daniels a really nice like Taylor acoustic when I was working there. It was pretty rad. He was a real cool guy, man, super chill, and yeah, we would get some celebrities in there every now and then. But yeah, the instruments that place has is just insane. There's I worked what they call down in the bro department.
The bro department?
The bro department. They would, when you brought an instrument to get appraised, for some reason their terminology, them old stoner guys would call it broing the instrument. So I would take all the photos.
I've literally never heard that before, but
so I would like take the photos for like the instruments that went on the website, and like I would let people know that their beautiful banjo that's been laying on her grandpa's bed for the last fucking 50 years was worth $20.
Yeah.
And they would argue with me and be like, "Fuck you, this thing's worth like 10 grand." But there was a bank vault inside that place that was just full of like pre-war Martins and like fucking violins, like super expensive violins, you know, stuff that's just like 15 grand, 20 grand, all the way up to, there was like original 59 Les Pauls in that. I sold one of the...
you would go on their website and you could see some of that shit for sale, but when you went to the store...
It was nowhere to be found.
Maybe they would have one of them out. Like, I feel like they would always have like one like pretty expensive instrument on display that you could take a look at, but that was about it.
Yeah.
But you go on the website and it's like, oh shit, where is this like $20,000? Well, for me, like violins and shit like that I would look at, and it's like, where is that? Well, yeah, of course they're not going to fucking put it on display. Like,
the coolest story that I have working at that place down in that office was there was this really creepy dude named Eric that worked there, and like he was creepy because he would we didn't work on commission there, and he would always try to help, like anytime like an attractive girl or like even like young chicks with their dads would come in there, this fucking goon would just be like on him like stink on shit. And just nobody at the store liked him. So one day he came in and he brought his Les Paul Custom down to the office that me and my buddy Knuckles worked in. And he's like, can I leave my guitar down here? I just want it out of the way. I don't want to leave it behind the counter. So we're like, yeah, whatever. So Knuckles comes up to me and he's like, whose guitar is this? And I'm like, well, that's Eric's. And he just like kind of lowers his eyebrow and looks at me and he's like, block for me for a minute. So he gets fucking Eric's Les Paul Custom out of the case, and I stand in front of him in this office cubicle, and he proceeds to pull his pants all the way down to his ankles and fucking ball sack the fuck out of Homeboy's guitar. And he just looks at me and he's like, this never happened. And I'm like, oh, no, it never happened. And it was the funniest, coolest thing.
Oh, God.
Eric, I hope that you hear this wherever you are, fucking creepy ass dude. His band was called Porno Jazz.
Porno Jazz.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I used to work with a dude at a computer shop that was that guy that would just like, he was fucking hated all the customers until it was a pretty girl. As soon as it was a fucking pretty girl, man.
That would be me.
Like,
that would be me if I worked there.
Yeah, I mean, he was just like fucking... He actually pushed me away one day. Like, I'm standing at the counter. Like, we had the tech counter at CompUSA. And fucking... I'm working the counter, which means I'm checking all the shit in. And this girl comes in who's, you know, blonde, 5'8", let's call it, huge fake tits. And he just like, he sees her come in and he comes over the counter, shit, you know, he just goes, pushes me. He's like, I got this one. And I'm like, wow, all right. Dude drove an IROC Z. A white IROC Z, had fucking long curly hair down to like his below his shoulders, dude. He was the best.
Was this Michigan?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This was classic downriver Michigan white trash bullshit, right? Dude was actually not that bad of a guy, but yeah, he was totally that dude who was just like, where's the girls, man? If it was any other customer, fucking gave him shit all the time. Like, and he would never talk to anybody at the counter unless it was a pretty girl.
Yep.
He was like, nah, I don't do counter shit, man. Oh, well. So what did you do after that then? After you lived in Lansing?
After Lansing,
how long did you live there?
I lived there for 3 years. In 2006.
Did you play in bands out there?
I was in I started a band like forever ago. My first band was a band called Just Another Joke, and it was like my high school band, and that kind of evolved into a band called Farwell. And we took that band from Jackson and moved it to Lansing. We did some cool stuff. And when I was in Lansing, when I was working at Elderly, I met a good buddy of mine named Andrew Mara, he's in the band Ariel, who is a Chicago band. They're like big into the shoegaze, and New Canyons. And I was just like, I heard this guy playing guitar in the amp room one day, and I was just blown away by like the way he was using a delay pedal. He's doing like rhythm delay like the Edge does.
Yeah.
And I had, being like a pop punk kid, I've never heard anything like that.
Yeah.
And this kid's like, his guitar playing was just blowing me away. So we worked together, and I just kept bothering him, and I was like, dude, I want to play third guitar in your band, because like I would like help him load their stuff in. I went to a couple of their shows, and I was just like, dude, it'd be so cool, man. You guys are already like a huge guitar band. How cool would it be to have 3 guitars? So I actually fucking talked these dudes into letting me play guitar in their band, and I wrote like some second guitar parts. I bought myself like a Memory Man delay pedal, which is like their signature secret weapon for that band. The band was called Vega. And I ended up making my way into Vega and leaving Farwell. And I played in Vega for a couple years. We did a tour in 2006. It was the first tour I'd ever been on. And I actually booked it myself. It was like 3 weeks long. It went really well. We had Dave Smith from the band Mason's Case. They're from Lansing. they actually live here now and do a lot of stuff. Dave was our touring drummer, and he's such a solid fucking road dog, man. He had like the bomb ass van and trailer, and everything just worked out so perfectly. And then after that tour, Vega kind of went their different ways, and I got fucking busted by East Lansing for a DUI. In 06.
You're
and
from Michigan, so that sounds about right.
Yep, sounds about right. So I got completely fucked with that.
Does every Michigan person have
Yes.
a
Yeah.
DUI?
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a rite of passage
Every one
in
of you
Michigan.
guys has a goddamn DUI.
And at that time, it was kind of when,
It's because everybody there grew up with parents who drank
Yep.
and drove,
Yep.
and friends who drank and drove, and family members who drank and drove. It was like, that's just what people did, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no public transit, and there's no concept of a cab out there.
Well, it's
Ever.
also very rural.
And very rural.
You know,
Exactly.
You got Detroit, and what else is there as far as cities go? You know what I mean? There's a lot of
There's a lot of small cities,
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
but
like-
still, I mean,
like anywhere
the
in the
point
Midwest
is like
is small,
with
but
all the suburban sprawl and shit like
it's
that, like
far.
everybody just grew up in that atmosphere. So like, yeah, I mean, there's the bullshit about like, you know, once in a while you'd see a commercial or anything like that, but I don't ever remember my parents having a discussion with me when I was younger, like don't drink and drive. Like I don't ever remember hearing that at all. I don't remember hearing that from anybody until it started happening. Then the next thing you fucking know, like everybody I know in Michigan starts getting DUIs
that's
because
how
they
that
crack
state.
down on it.
That's how that state makes all their fucking money, man.
Wow.
Just busting people for that.
I mean, I can't say personally that I think it's necessarily a terrible thing that they started cracking down on.
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
there's definitely it started being way too much of that shit. I mean, look, man, we used to go to Canada when I was a kid, when I was like 19, and we were fucking idiots. Like just dumbasses, and so was everybody else that went.
Supposed to be an idiot at that age.
Yeah, but you're in a fucking car.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's so I kind of look back and I'm like, okay, I can kind of understand. Like, I get a little bit of it, but
Yeah, that I got that DUI in 06, and I still can't get into Canada. I ruined a fucking tour last year because I could not get in
I
fucking
couldn't go to
Canada.
Canada for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So I can only now go.
and
again,
so I found out that my DUI is not even on my record.
Wow.
Because I went to fucking Canada and I had no idea. I really didn't know. And like it's a long story, but my lawyer during the whole thing was like a fucking, you know, like I was a dumb kid when it happened, right? I was just a fucking idiot. It wasn't that I was like, you know, fucking like hammering like Jack Daniels or anything every day. It was just like you show up, you fucking do something dumb and you get caught.
Yep.
So I go into Canada not that long ago. It was like 4 years ago, I think I go in. And guy stopped, you know, they stopped me at the border because I didn't know that you needed 2 forms of ID now because I've been living here basically since that shit happened. So I go to show them my license. They're like, you don't have another form of ID? And I'm like, no. And so I got to stop at the border. And the girl I was dating at the time was with me, same deal. And they pull me over, do all the check in my car and that bullshit. And then they pull me up to the counter and they're like, have you ever, you know, been, have you ever had like a, I don't remember exactly what the question was, but it was like a misdemeanor or a felony. And I'm like, I got a DUI like back in 2000 and when I got that 2004. And guy's like, oh, really? He's like, I don't think you can come over then. And I'm like, okay. He's like, I got to look at your record. And so he pulls up my record, no DUI on my record.
Wow.
And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I ended up calling my lawyer after that. And I was like, or a lawyer, I shouldn't say my lawyer, but a lawyer that I knew from the company I was working at the time. And I was like, you have any idea what might be going on? He's like, one of two things happened. He's like, you got yours in Detroit. You paid all the fines. You did your probation. You got through all of it just fine. Like, so it's possible that they like did an advisement thing, I guess it's called, where like if you fucking finish your probation fine, they just don't ever actually put it on your record.
Yeah.
Or he's like, you got it in Detroit, so maybe they just didn't fucking fill out the paperwork right.
There's definitely some
Just
loopholes.
like Chicago.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. Like, I don't
It was
really know what to say about that.
It was funny when I was in court. The judge, he asked me, he's like, you know, what do you do for a living? And like on the fly, I was like, oh, I'm a touring musician. And I just pulled that one out of my ass. And he's like, oh, so you have to travel to get paid, correct? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, we can't put you on probation then. So I totally didn't have to do the whole probation thing. Yeah,
Oh, man, that's
That would never
nailed that
happen in
shit.
Chicago.
Well,
Never.
they gave me a restricted license for 6 months because I'm a full-time musician.
Yeah.
Like at the time I was like I taught music, played in a symphony, played in a string quartet, and played in a band. And I was like,
Not a nerd at all.
What's that?
Not a nerd
I'm
at all.
A fucking nerd. Okay, fuck off. But anyway, I was like, yeah, I have to be able to get to work, and but they put me on probation, but then they gave me a restricted license, not a. They didn't suspend my license,
Yeah.
so then it was like it
So I
never.
hate to break it to you, but the legal system is not going to revolve around your schedule. Okay.
They did though.
They
They
did.
actually did. That's what I'm saying.
Real?
Like
What the hell?
they
I'm
did.
moving to Michigan.
No, the judge asked me the same shit. It was
Yep.
the same deal. Like, what's your work situation
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff, and like, you know, do you have a fixed route to work and blah blah blah. And I'm like, no.
Yep.
And you know, so they ended up again restricted license. Like, I was allowed to drive to and from work, but if they pulled me over, I had to prove that I was either going to or from work was the deal.
Yeah.
They never pulled me over. I never, thankfully, never. Well, I don't know if it's thankfully, but I just chose not to abuse that privilege or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But
The
yeah,
situation.
man, you don't have to. Well, you had your own shit to deal with. So.
Yeah, mine was the DUI. Mine was a little more serious than that. But.
So you know, it just is what it is.
Yeah, when all that happened, it was like right at the end of that band that I was playing in Vega. We had split ways, and at that point, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I started like actively looking for like established bands on Craigslist, and I had like some interest from some bands from like California that I was really. I've always wanted to be in California. That's always where I wanted to land. But I took a one-way train here to Chicago from Michigan, and I met this band that Andy Gerber produced from Million Yen Studios.
nice.
I know you guys do some recording
Yeah.
there. It was called The Silence, spelled Silents. And when I came in, they had half the record. They did a full-length record. Half the record was complete. And I came here, auditioned for them on bass, and they're like, dude, we want you to be our guy. I was 24 years old, and I just bailed on all that legal shit.
Yeah.
So I had a warrant for my arrest up
Jesus.
until last year.
That's so stupid.
It's so fucking stupid, and now I can't get into Canada. I ruined tour last year.
Well, you would have been able to get in anyway.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. And it's just, it sucks because like OC45, like I know they're like big Pooza dudes. Like they played Pooza Fest, not this year but last year, and we were invited back for this year, but I fucked that all up, and now we got to do what we can do to figure all this shit out.
It's definitely weird, man, because I know Pete is not the first guy I ever met that couldn't get into Canada because of.
I can now.
Well, you can now. That's
Nice.
right. But I know multiple dudes that have literally been on their way to play in Canada and gotten turned away.
Yep.
And like, nope, you're not allowed in the country over really dumb shit like that. That's like, one, I'm not driving a car.
Yep.
Right? They weren't driving at the time. And then I guess that one confuses me because it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to think about
For
that
them,
whole
a
thing, but-
DUI it's kind of a big deal, but at the same time, if enough time has passed and you haven't gotten in any trouble again, you can pay a fine and get in.
Oh, really?
It's like, what, 5
But
years
see,
or
like,
something?
It's 5 years. You have to stay out of trouble. And then when you go to Canada, I think it's like $200 you can get in.
Oh, that's not that bad.
It's not that bad, but when you
I mean, it
consider
sucks to have to
probably
do
not
it.
gonna make any fucking money.
Well,
so
yeah,
you're
considering
losing $200.
where the people that it would really matter for, yeah.
But you know, obviously with other things, it's like the situation I had, I was just not allowed at all for a long time until I got that all taken care of and all that. But with DUIs, it seems like everybody I know who's gotten a DUI that has gone to Canada, if it's been a long enough time, it's up to the border guard whether or not they let you in. It has to have been at least 5 years.
It has to be 5 years since you completed whatever kind of sentencing that they gave you. And that was what fucked me, is because I skipped out on all that shit. And she's like, well, this happened in 2006. When did you take care of it? I was like, well, I took care of the court fines and fees this year because it was during the time that tour was happening. And I got my passport and I made sure I took care of like all my warrant shit. And because that I waited until just this year to take care of that, I have to wait 5 years until after I paid that fine.
And that's so weird that it's like right there, and you can get a passport.
Yeah.
You can still get a U.S. passport.
I have one, yeah.
Well, that
and you
doesn't
can't
matter.
cross like the Canadian
No, it's only
border.
but it's really only Canada and maybe England, because England also has access to our records, but England is not as strict as Canada.
That's good to know because with OC45.
But the rest of Europe, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
Obviously, Japan, they don't.
We're doing a
That's
Europe
so
tour
weird.
next year, so.
Now does
good to
Mexico
know.
give a shit?
God, dude, they just let a drug lord walk out of jail.
Yeah,
all right?
I can't imagine that
You think they care about
Yeah.
a guy with a DUI? Come on, man.
I can't imagine that. Well, I mean, I guess they probably don't even hand out too many DUIs in Texas because if there's one place in the country that people are still drinking and driving, it's definitely fucking Texas. That's for goddamn sure.
And Canada, I mean, we're gonna own that place soon anyway. So
Oh Jesus, here we go.
fucking matter. Fuck them.
It's good to see like Canada, like it seems like they're starting to take steps towards making it easier for like musicians to get in there, and
I
they're
just heard they got rid of that fine thing, right?
The tax.
yeah.
Because they implemented
That's good.
for a while, they raised it. I think was the deal. Like
It was
they actually,
super expensive, wasn't it?
yeah, and they were like cracking down on it too. Like they were starting to fucking turn people away.
Bunch of dicks.
I mean, well, we used to sneak over when we played there too. We wouldn't bring any amps or drum shells. It was like we would pack bare minimum of gear, throw it in the trunk, made sure that we had all our shit together so that our chances of getting stopped at the border were absolute bare minimum.
We used to always say we were going to a wedding.
We would say we were going to the casino. I don't know why, but that's what we'd always say we're doing. And then it's like the only time we did get questioned, we did like 3 days in Canada. We went up to we did Windsor, somewhere else, and then London, Ontario.
London rules.
Yeah, London was pretty fucking cool, man. And then we came back, and when we came back, they're like, "You've been here for a few days." Like,
We were having fun. We decided to
yeah,
stay.
exactly.
You got good hookers. That's what you should have said. This is why you gave me a
Jesus.
microphone.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly didn't have money for that at that point in my life.
Dude, it's Canada. What do you mean you didn't have money?
Back then, it was so cheap in Canada.
It used to be
Oh
like
my
a
god,
buck
the
50 to a dollar.
yeah, dude, the exchange rate was insane when I
Now
was
it's
younger.
It's close. Theirs is, I don't know. It
You
keeps
used to be
changing.
able to, a bunch of bars, you could just buy a beer for $1 American. You gave them $1 American and they would take it for a fucking beer.
Beautiful.
Oh man, it was awesome. It was awesome. So yeah,
And
we'd
you
always
wonder
get-
why you have a DUI.
Sadly, this happened after my Canada years, but you know, what are you gonna do?
You were feeling nostalgic.
Yeah, no.
It's frustrating though, man. There's nothing like the feeling of fucking ruining, a band's tour because you're the drummer and you can't get in because of a DUI that you got fucking damn near 10 years ago. And I fucking drank 2 beers. I blew the fucking .08, but I was speeding, so they totally just fisted my butt. I was in jail for 2 hours.
But that's a different story. Mine was beer.
Cheers to getting fucked.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, there's.
You didn't have a weapons.
Yeah, I'll edit that out. I don't know, man. You got to figure there's plenty of bands that go through that shit. Then
There has to be.
there's
I mean,
tons. I mean, yeah.
thank you, brother.
We're talking about DUIs as we're sitting here drinking beers, which is hilarious. But I just don't. I don't drink and drive anymore, so
I would if I could, but they won't give me my license back. And it pisses me off.
I don't think you're helping yourself. Okay, your
Where's your lawyer
You
right
can,
now?
Canada, you did not
Where's your
hear
lawyer?
that.
As your lawyer, I strongly advise you to not say that.
It's funny because last year, I worked this really easy festival gig to where I was just patching a stage, which is just plugging the microphones into the snake box, and I made enough money to buy this really fucking pimp '89 Cadillac DeVille. I've always wanted a Cadillac ever since I was a little kid, so I bought this fucking car, and I'm like, oh cool,
Well, you're from Michigan, so you like cars.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I bought this fucking car and attempted to go get my license last year, and they're like, no, you got some shit in Michigan you need to take care of. So, yep, I bought this awesome car and got to drive it around all last summer without a license.
Oh, there you go.
It was fun.
Admitting to crimes on microphone.
Nobody listens to this. I mean,
Fuck
sorry.
you, Pete. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I gotta take care of this license shit, man. I feel bad for my homies in OC45, where I'm just
So
luxuriously
you
laying.
literally can't get a driver's license because of it.
I think I have to. What Michigan had was that fucking what was a driver responsibility fee that they popped you with when you got a DUI, and I think it was $1,000 fine to the state of Michigan, and I've done everything but pay that. So I think once I pay that, then my license won't be suspended anymore. And then my band will be happy that I can lay it.
I don't want you to admit to anything, illegal, publicly or anything. But do you still have a warrant?
No, I have since taken care of that.
Well, that's a good thing. Because trust me, that's not going to help you.
It's not going to help me. You know what's funny? The thing that I love about Chicago here is the police department, because
Don't care,
they just do not give any types of fucks. I'm a big moped guy.
dude. No joke. We have the laziest
Yes,
cops
absolutely.
in the whole country.
God bless
they are
them.
Exactly. It actually can be a good thing for the most
Until
part.
they start beating shit out of people, but that's a different story.
That's
so rare
true.
because this is. I'm a
It
cop's
actually
kid,
doesn't seem
all
to
right?
happen more with like the off-duty and ex-cops.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're the
around
ones
here
who
for
get
some reason.
themselves
Like,
in trouble.
remember the only video I think of is that one cop that beat up that bartender, the girl on the south side. But I think
No,
that was like
right by
an
my house.
off-duty
That was
cop
north.
or something like that.
That was right by my
Dude,
house.
That
That
was
was blocks
fucking
from my
freaky to
But-
watch, man.
Dude, that's the thing. Like growing up, we knew that. Okay, first off, we knew that running. I grew up here in Chicago,
Right.
And we knew that running was always the worst thing you could do. The cops would even occasionally say every now, because every cop in the neighborhood knew us. We were assholes, but it was the same cops every night. So basically, what it came down to was if the cop has to get out of his car, you're fucked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if you don't make him get out of his car, you're probably just going to walk away. Like, all right, you're drinking beers in the park at 1:30 in the morning. Obviously, you're 16. You ain't supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
All right, they might take your beer or say, this is the beauty of Chicago cops being the laziest cops in the fucking world. They'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they'd say. Are you guys smoking weed? No, we would never do that. And like, as smoke's coming out of your fucking
But in
nose,
all honesty, you gotta appreciate
they'd
that
be like,
to
get
a
the fuck
certain
out of
degree.
here. Like, dude,
Well, because if you're not
the best.
like hurting anybody or again, that comes down to the thing. Like if you're just fucking hanging out drinking beers in the park, like who the fuck are you hurting?
Yeah, about 9 times out of 10, the worst thing they would do would take away your shit and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which is more just kind of being responsible adults than
Being a human being,
yeah,
man.
than being a fucking asshole who's like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna fucking throw you in jail and charge you all
Yeah.
this money.
It's
And
not
blah,
like
blah,
it's
blah.
not like
Michigan
like,
cops.
like
Yeah.
L.A. or places like that where you see these videos of these cops and they're just like psycho.
There was one
like
today,
nutcases.
dude.
I saw
Yeah,
that.
guy. Some guy got
Dude,
blasted or something.
Somebody
I don't know.
posted it, and I didn't.
Try not to watch.
I
that
did
shit.
not pick up on the gravity of it at all, dude. But it fucked me up.
Yeah,
like I had to like go outside of my office and like walk around for a minute. I was like, holy shit. I can't believe I just watched that shit. That was
watch
like
that kinda shit.
so brutal, so unbelievably brutal. Oh, no, thank you. But I don't know. I mean, the run-ins I've had with the cops in Chicago have not been terrible by any means. I did have one annoying one though, man. Like a guy pulled me over for making a right at a no turn on red. On the red,
He just wanted to
when
lecture
it was
you,
like
though, right?
minus 20 degrees outside. 2 winters. It was like the fucking coldest day, and I was literally only outside to move my car because this is what I still in a car. I'm like, I need to fucking move it because I was parking down the street and I don't want it to just like sit idle through all this bullshit. So I go out there like twice a day and move the car around. Go out there, fucking drive the car, making the right, get pulled over. Motherfucker wrote me the ticket for it, and because they take your license for that shit around here or something like
A
that.
moving violation. They take your license.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I had no idea because I'd never had one in the city of Chicago. And so he takes my license. I'm like, dude, I'm flying to go on vacation with my parents like next week. I'm like, I need that. She's like, well, then you got to go pay your shit at this and go to the
Or
precinct.
we could just take care of it right here.
He did not give me that option at all.
Wow, you had the wrong cop.
Yeah. I was freaking the fuck out.
I've lived here almost 10 years. I've had one situation with a cop, and it was when I was riding my moped. I was like a moped dude, so like I literally did like a fucking illegal U-turn in this intersection from the sidewalk, like in the crosswalk, did a U-turn. Dude hits me, and like this is when I still had a warrant. I had no license. You're supposed to have like a license and plates for your moped. I actually was just coming from the currency exchange. I had just registered that moped, so luckily I had plates. And the dude pulls me over, and he's like, "I need your license, your proof of insurance, and you know whatever else you fucking need." I'm like, "Oh, I don't have any of that." He's like, "Well, you know, it's really fucked up. You know, I know you just." I was like, "Well, I just moved here from Michigan. You know, you don't need a license to ride mopeds there. You know, that's why I have one." And I'm just kind of bullshitting this guy. And he's like, "Well, you know, you just got this moped. That's too bad that I'm gonna have to fucking take it away from you on the first day that you got it."
Oh God!
So this guy goes to his car.
Shit to say right there.
I'm like texting my girlfriend at the time, like, I'm gonna go to jail. This is happening. Dude came back to me, and he's just like, "Listen, man, you got 30 days to take care of all this shit. If I see you on this thing again, I'm taking it, and I'm taking you to jail, and you'll never get your license." Yeah, this is when I still had a warrant.
I don't think that's that lazy. I think that's actually kind of cool that they're like, you know what?
I think it's see. It seems like it's cool, but in reality, it's lazy because he doesn't want to do shit. He's like, you know, man. He got in there. He started running it. He's like, oh look, a warrant. Oh look at all this
paperwork.
Like,
oh my god, I'm gonna be fucking writing paperwork for 3 fucking. I get off in 45 minutes. Fuck this shit.
Yeah.
You know what, dude? Here and then you know he made it sound like real threatening. But I see you on this, like, and you're like, oh yeah, all right, that's cool. And he's thinking, man, I get off in 35 minutes. I can go drink some fucking beer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I had 2 bikes stolen from my Wicker Park apartment, and when I had the second one stolen, I finally like made the cops come out. I'm like, no, I want somebody to come out and like fucking look at this. And guy just looks at me and he's like, you know we're never going to get this thing back, right? I'm like, yes. It's the principle of the matter that it's the second one.
Chicago cops don't work on principle. They work on, this is reality. And I could write all this stupid fucking paperwork. I could throw you in jail, spend 45 fucking minutes or probably 2 hours writing paper. Or I could let you go, and I could be at Dunkin'
But when it comes to something big, my experience is that they'll fucking do it. That night that I got fucking robbed, they took care of that shit. So this is a great story. I don't think I've ever told this on the podcast before, but I got robbed at my Wicker Park apartment. And I was living with Kathleen at that point. And, dude, had a rager like that night. Like, not in my apartment, out at a bar. Let's just say I was more than drunk when I got back to my apartment, and Kathleen had actually went home an hour before I did. And when she got home, we had been like, a bunch of shit was gone from the apartment. Both of our TVs were gone, and then a laptop was gone, and something else, I can't remember what, a couple other things, like big ticket items, like, were taken.
Right.
Interestingly enough, none of my music shit was taken. I didn't take any of it, which I found out later, and I'll explain why that was. But
would have been the most CDs you moved.
No, I'm talking about guitars and everything. Man, catching shit. But so I get back. I am. It's 5 o'clock in the morning on a fucking Friday night. Like, after I'd been out, like, raging all night, and I get back and there's cops in my apartment, and I'm like. I keep apologizing to him because I'm drunk, and I'm like, dude, I'm wasted. I'm sorry. Like, we went out tonight. I don't know what's going on. And he's like, okay, sir, it's all right. Like, you got robbed, and like, you know, here's what they took. You know, girlfriend told us what they took, and blah blah blah. He's like, here's the deal, though. And I'm like, how did this happen? And they're like, well, they got in through a window that we left unlocked. Just didn't even know. You know, had no idea it was unlocked. I didn't. It's just weird because I lived on like the second story of a garage, but there were stairs up to my place, but like, we're so hidden where we were, I just never thought about it. And the guy's like, you know, we're pretty sure they cased you guys out. They probably knew you were gone tonight, came up, and they probably would have broken your window, but they didn't because they found out it was unlocked. And good news, we think we got a fingerprint.
Ooh.
Okay, great. But so we have the forensics team coming out. They tell us that they can't be here for about another hour, though. So, sir, you need to stay awake.
Jesus Christ.
So I'm like putting on the pot of coffee.
You know what you
very
should. You know what you should have said. You should have said, "Well, you got any blow?" Because that would work.
At that point, you know. So I actually managed to stay like barely awake for that forensics team to show up. They pulled the print off the window. Called a couple of days later. Said they got a match. Fucking a day later, Chicago Tribune like article, second page or whatever. Friend sends it to me like, I think they caught your people. I'm not gonna call the cops, and they're like, yeah, we probably would have called you guys in a couple days, but probably not. But
No, they're lazy.
they're like, yeah, we actually caught those guys, and you should come down to the precinct because they recovered like $100,000 worth of shit that
Jesus.
these guys stole.
Wow.
And they're like, it may or may not be your stuff. Like,
But oddly, so much of it
Oh, it's
ended
all
up
my
missing.
stuff.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Who knows who took the rest of it? They're like, we're pretty sure they had a
Oh,
lot.
I'm pretty sure
more
I know who
shit.
took the rest of it.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of cops with a bunch of nice new TVs now.
Yeah. So I went to the precinct and looked. None of my shit was there. None of it. But they actually caught those
No,
motherfuckers
some
because
cops
of the
apartment.
fingerprint they
Yeah,
found in my
that's good.
apartment.
Bastards.
Which is crazy. It was like the Latin Kings. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is going on right
Oh man,
now?
edit that out. Edit that out. I want nothing to do with that. I'm from here, okay?
Those guys like to write on the side of my apartment building.
Oh Jesus.
Oh, you live in Humboldt Park.
There you go. Well, so like I just didn't even think about that shit until then. Like that was the first time I ever thought about that stuff. I mean, I lived in Wicker, but I lived like right on Western, like a block off of Western Avenue. And so that's what they said is like I guess it was going on for like 6 months. Which also that's the first I'd fucking heard about it. But then they're like, yeah, for 6 months they've been casing out like apartments and breaking into them and stealing. And they were stealing very specific stuff, which is why they didn't steal my music shit. They were stealing electronics, very specifically any Apple product.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they were taking. I had my hollow body, wherever that is. It's over there. I had it. It was right next to my front door in the case. Didn't touch it. I was like, dude, that's worth more than the TV. Like,
Yeah, but it's harder to sell.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Much harder to sell.
Yeah. So, oh man, we got so derailed there.
I was thinking the same thing.
That was fun though. So what do you got coming up?
Coming up, like I said, the Dark Buster reunion in Boston with OC45. So,
Playing around here at all?
Around here, don't have much going on. Trying to do some stuff, get some stuff booked in September. We have OC45 has that whole month off, so I'm trying to do another Braver Days EP.
Nice.
I'd like to get some stuff going with those guys. That band, I really haven't talked about them too much. That was the band that I pretty much, when I switched over to drums, that was like the first band that I started, and pretty much the reason why I'm doing all these things that I'm doing. My best friend Eli Buxton, he's the main songwriter and guitar
Eli's
player. That
awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Him and I, we worked at Subterranean together. We started the band 3 years ago, just randomly talking. He's like, yeah, you know, I write some songs and stuff. I was like, yeah, I'm really into punk rock. Like, I like the 90s skate punk stuff, you know, No Effects, Lagwagon, No Use for a Name. And he's like, really? He's like, that's all along the lines of the shit that I write. I'm like, no way. So he sent me like a video of some acoustic stuff he did, and I was just like really into what he was doing. And I was like, well, I'm gonna switch my instrument, so this is a great opportunity to write some music on the drums. And yeah, this was 3 years ago, and we since written pretty much probably about 10 original songs. Like I said, the band, like, the Braver Days is like my baby. It's the project that I'm probably the most infatuated with, and that I've probably put the most effort and work into. And it's just like, it's a newer band, so it's hard to be doing the things that I want to do, like touring wise and recording wise, with a band that's like newly established, especially at the age that we're all at, you know, still trying to fucking hang on to this shit along with the hairs on our head. But
Just wait.
I was waiting for
Just
it.
wait.
I'm there.
Just wait.
I am there for sure.
That was fucking awesome.
So
The look on your face as soon as he
Just-
said that was just like,
Did you see the snicker on my face? And the, yeah, dude. Uh-huh. Yeah.
That was great.
I just
Dude, I love that show we did with you guys.
It was
Sub T,
great,
And then you guys
yeah.
asked me to do that Rancid song, and I had so much fucking fun doing that. That
Well,
was
it's
great.
funny, dude. Like, we were just sitting in practice the other day, and like our thing with Braver Days is like it's always been me and Eli, and then we have our good friend Chris playing bass for us. But like, how cool would it be to have another guitar player and another songwriter in this band? So it's funny, in the last couple rehearsals, we were actually gonna hit you up. But I mean, I'm sure you're fucking uber busy, but. You know,
I'll play some guitar, songwriting wise.
There you go.
I'm too.
I would really like to see the Braver Days do some stuff in the future, and I think
sings?
Eli sings. He's the main
That name
vocalist.
sounds really familiar.
Dude,
Do
he's
I know
like
him?
6 foot fucking 10. I don't know, he's not that tall, but
Maybe
I'm
if I saw him.
exaggerated, but he's a tall
He's
motherfucker.
a big dude. He,
Bouncer guy
yeah.
at Sub T, right?
Sub
yeah,
T.
he's definitely a fucking bouncer, dude. Like,
Yep.
he could fuck you up if you wanted to.
he's a
Probably
fucking.
if I saw him, I'd know.
He's a great songwriter and a phenomenal guitar player, and just him and I playing together, we've built, you know, everything, like all of our chops, like we've built them from playing with each other, and it's been an awesome ride, man. Like, I really credit everything that I'm doing on the drums to the Braver Days and to Eli, because I wouldn't be doing this shit if it wasn't
Awesome.
for him, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's my best friend, dude. And
Well, especially when you're a start on like a new endeavor, you gotta
Absolutely.
have somebody who's gonna like support you doing it. 'cause
Yeah.
you're gonna have to go through like, okay, dude's got to spend some time getting comfortable behind this
Yep.
and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
that's important shit,
And I
man.
mean,
There's
we
no doubt.
we both put in all the fucking hours that it takes to get an established band going, and I mean, we really, both of us, like, we're in a position now where we really would like to see the Braver Days do more stuff, but it's just like, it's just so tough this day and age, man, especially when it's a band coming from the ground up. You know, we don't have merchandise, we don't have all but a 4-song recording, and there's so much stuff that we need to do, and so
Money, dude.
little of the money.
right?
You and I have talked about this before.
Yeah.
I don't know how any young band does this now and does anything other than lose money, to be honest.
Rich
Like,
parents.
that's seriously, that's got a lot.
Yeah, but it was
This-
a lot of that
that's a
back
conversation.
in the day, too.
What's that?
Don't get it wrong. There was a lot of that back in the day, too. Like, there was some money behind
Yeah,
the
but-
scenes you didn't know about.
Oh, there was definitely, yeah. There's
I
no
think if you're
question about
legit,
that.
I think you can do it.
But now there are so many bands, dude. Like, when I started doing this, there was a hell of a lot less bands. There were still, you know, a good number of bands, obviously, but there were a lot less. Now there's, like, no joke, there's got to be at least 10 times more bands now. And everybody is going on the road.
Well, not only are
and
there...
especially, like you said, if you got rich parents, like, look at, you know, no one's going to ever hear no one that... This will never get back to these people anyway. When I was in the methadones,
Yes, it will.
no. When I was in the methadones, that was a big problem we had. We were at that time. We were all already in our all but one of us. We're all already in our like mid-30s.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we were trying to tour, and we would come across these bands. We played with Fall Out Boy. We played with all these bands, and you know they're from fucking Wilmette, Highland
Yeah.
Park,
Yeah.
wherever the fuck
Yep.
they're from, and like I mean, clearly obvious, rich kids whose parents supported them. We met fucking hundreds of people like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I mean, I'm not. Granted, it sounds like I'm just a jealous prick who's like, "Oh, you got rich parents, fuck you." And I won't deny there might be a little of that happening, but like for the most part, that goes a long way. We met a lot of bands. Like when I was in the
Well,
methadones,
money
we
always
played,
goes a long way, dude. It
dude,
does.
we played with a lot of bands that had done really well and had gotten fairly, you know, big and that. And it seemed like a very large percentage of those bands or the members in those bands had rich parents. It
Yeah.
really did. It seemed like a really large percentage of them came from money.
Came for money. That's a big thing, too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
being
sure.
a monitor engineer at Bottom Lounge, I get exposed. Which Bottom Lounge is a Live Nation house, which is newly
Oh,
like
is it
yeah,
really?
yeah, it is. Yeah, Bottom Lounge is like a.
When did
new-
that start?
It started, I want to say, very recently.
Oh, that's a
Since I started coming back there and doing
don't have
monitors,
to say that,
Yeah,
but I'll
yeah.
say that.
But I will say,
didn't
just
say that.
from doing monitors and seeing the bands that come through there that are on like the local level, it's all pay to play shit, and it's all
yeah.
like.
That sucks.
And even the bands that are like Live Nation bands that are doing like the sold out shows, you can tell that these are all fucking young kids They have had nothing but mommy and daddy's money shoved up their ass their whole fucking like career, and it's just bullshit because this day and age, those are the bands that are out there, you know,
Of course.
I guess selling the records and doing the big tours and making the fucking money. Which is
that's why.
Yeah, that's like it's so shitty, and that's why I went back to punk music. I'm like, I don't want
Jesus,
any
punk
fucking
rock's
part.
probably got more of them than anybody. Seriously,
Well, pop
dude.
punk for sure.
Yeah, pop punk for sure.
We used to have a saying back a long time ago that the crustier the punk, the bigger the trust fund.
Well, they have to, right? That's the
yeah,
only way they're gonna
absolutely.
fucking survive that shit at the end of the
I'm
day.
I'm not joking, dude. Like, especially in say like the early '90s, some of the crustiest, like most these big, all super left wing communist type people they all came from super ultra rich families.
Oh, yeah.
They were all from like
Dude, that's what gave me
rich
a bad
parts of
taste about the
Naperville or
crust punk
Highland
thing.
Park or these places like that. And granted, I know that there are working class parts of those areas,
Oh,
but none of these people were from.
No,
those
dude,
parts.
you would meet them back in Michigan, and like someone would have parents that live in the fucking mansions in Grosse Pointe. And it's like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that Detroit suburbs area. There's been a lot of bands in the last few years.
and look,
like,
man, I mean, my parents have money these days. There's no doubt about that. But my parents don't put any fucking money towards my band at all.
they know better.
Or your hair,
I wish they
apparently.
would. Oh,
I can't believe they haven't offered you money to cut that shit off yet.
The apple fell very far from the tree in this case.
I think it's more the DIY punk scene. Like, you know, like it's so much different from these pay to play shits. You know, there's actually a tight knit scene, and it's so good being like incorporated back into that aspect of music and that aspect of being in a scene and being a part of a scene or playing in bands that are in that scene. It's not none of this fucking pay to play bullshit. It's not my mommy and daddy just fronted fucking tour support for a 4-month tour and bought us a Sprinter
that's my
van
favorite.
and
When
all
you-
that shit.
Yeah,
I'm
like
sick
a
of
couple
that shit.
articles have been around lately where it's like bands talking about how much they make, you know, on tour and all this bullshit. It's like, yeah, but your bills were paid ahead of time.
Yeah.
And you've got a place to live.
Absolutely.
And you don't have, like, I have fucking rent.
I remember when
And-
Fall Out Boy first became huge, when that whatever that album was that made them popular, we played with them, and I remember there was not one single person who gave a rat's fucking ass about us. First of all, they were like, "Who is these old guys? They're not pretty." But regardless,
Well, that's
a whole nother
definitely
story.
true.
But I remember.
Oh, look, he's going to punt on it. He's
I
not
remember
gonna let me
that.
get away with
I
it.
remember that reading an article somewhere, or I think someone pointing an article out to me is more like it, that when they got home from that tour, it was like their most profitable tour at the time, and they were like, and I remember I think it was the bass player guy, the eyeliner guy. He was like, "Oh, I still live at home with my mom and dad." I was like, I found it so bad to like just go to the North Shore, find his house, and just punch the fucking shit out of the guy. I was like, "Fuck you, dickhead." You know what I mean? I have a house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I got a mortgage. I got to fucking pay, and taxes, and God knows whatever.
But that's
else
the other thing. Like, if you, I don't know, man. Like, it's just weird. Like, none of that goes appreciated though by anybody.
I was just
True.
gonna say that too, though. Like, anything that's worth doing is worth fighting for and worth
Right.
giving it all for. And if it, like, you're telling me your story, and like, you're going on the road with this band, like, you got, like, that's awesome. I think that's super cool, man. You're going on the road. You're looking at doing this full time, and that's fucking awesome. And at this point in your life, you got to do that. Like, you have to.
Absolutely. I mean,
And you have nothing stopping you, and that's fucking
Yeah.
awesome. And if it means living in a van,
Except for well,
you know, the Off With Their Heads guys, I remember, like, when they first started touring, they were touring all the time, and my old band used to play with them all the time. And I remember they were literally living in their van.
Yeah.
Like, but they were touring 300 something fucking days a year. But that was it.
I mean, when
That's what they
you're
were doing,
living in
you
a
know?
van and you don't have a care in the world, you know,
There's
all
three
you
left? I thought there was only one
you don't
left.
have to think about you don't have to think about bills. You don't have to think about rent. You know,
Yeah.
it's great. It's
Yeah,
you
but I mean,
lay in
you
the
know-
back of the van and
Well,
you
I
just
remember-
worry about playing the next show. It's
I've been doing this a long time. I've met a lot of idiots. I've met a lot of cool people. But clearly, this is where your heart is. I mean, this is something you need to do, and sounds like you found a good place to do that. So you got to run with that, man. You got to run with that. What'd you say?
it smells a little funky.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
It's because the fridge has been on and off
Yeah,
45
yeah.
fucking times since the last time we were here.
Yeah, it's tricky, man. Like, I mean, back when I lived in Michigan, I had my house at that point. And I'll never forget, my mortgage was $600 a month.
That's beautiful.
That was it. And I rented out 3 rooms. I had a basement room and then 2 rooms upstairs that I rented out. And so at the end of the day, it's not good. I was literally paying in rent like 120, like not rent, but towards my own mortgage pay. I was paying like 125 bucks a month, which was like, fuck, this is like, I pay so much more than that now.
Yeah.
It's
And when you're in a
unbelievable.
band, that's like so crucial. My rent here is $365 a month.
Oh, man.
awesome.
And I
That's amazing.
have like
I want to live where you're living.
But
I have a practice space in my apartment, which is just unheard of
how
in
old are you?
Chicago.
I'm sorry, how
32.
32.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still got time.
Yeah.
I'm, a little bit older than you. But that's a really good. You know what though? That's a really good point to be at, especially with like starting to do what you're doing, like touring a lot, because you're old enough to not do hopefully not do exceptionally stupid shit.
Right.
Like if you're 22, the potential for you to just do stupid shit is
Through the roof.
But 32 is a really good age where you're wise, hopefully wise enough that you're not going to do anything too stupid, and you know the reality of these.
And
things.
you know what else I've noticed lately is that like nobody that not many. I don't want to say nobody. That's the wrong word. It seems like a lot of people in this day and age, we all live longer now. Start to do
So
well in general.
That's all debatable, Joe. How many more of
Yeah,
these are we
keep
going to drink?
drinking that. Well, especially this.
And are we going to the
swill.
bar at the corner? Because that's going to cut several years off my life.
We're doing that afterwards. I've definitely noticed you see people actually kind of hit their stride later in life.
Absolutely.
Now.
Absolutely. Yep.
Like
Dude,
yes,
30
there are young bands that can get big and young comedians and all that kind of stuff, but you start to see comedians and actors and musicians, a lot of creative types start to hit their
Absolutely.
stride in their 30s and 40s
Absolutely.
now. Because young is not necessarily the best thing anymore. Whereas back in the day, it was like we got to sell the young shit, we
Yep.
got to put it on a cover and all that kind of stuff. I think now people, in general, I think people do appreciate the kind of art behind it and what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, really
more
young
so than they
people
did
are
before.
still probably for lack of a better word, the market.
Look,
They're like
you
the
can
people who
still
are
sell a
gonna
boy
buy
band.
shit.
You can still sell a boy band. There's no doubt
Isn't
about
that
that.
horrible?
But fine, you could sell. What's the fucking boy band that's out now?
I have no
Is there
idea.
There's one.
One Direction.
One Direction.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Don't ask me.
Yeah,
how
but
I
now
know
they're
this.
like mid-20s probably, so they're not quite as
Yeah,
appealing.
now they're falling off the wayside for
Ew,
that
they're
market.
old.
But then we're talking about people who are marketing that shit to make fucking millions and millions of dollars off of it, and they're not really curious or interested in the art behind it that goes behind that shit.
Do you think there's art in One Direction? Is there art in One
That's
Direction?
my fucking point. Is there's not.
There's 4 or 5. How many? There's 5, right? I think there's 5 of them. 5 pretty British guys who, at this point, are probably all heroin addicts anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Probably. I will say, like, from somebody that's like had the idea in their head, like music and like being in a touring band is something I've always wanted to do. At this age that I'm at, I feel like it's more obtainable than ever.
Yes,
And if there's
because
any,
it is.
yeah, absolutely. And if there's any goals that I want to do as a musician, I feel like it's something that absolutely can be done. It's just like easier. More people care about what you do nowadays, and it's just not trying to be somebody or sell something. It's all about.
You're old enough to know that.
Yeah.
This is what really matters, and but you're also old enough to see the reality in it. Like, yeah, sadly, I do still have to pay some bills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
And,
true.
Like, when you're like 22, you're like, you should never make a penny from your art. You know what I mean? Like,
Which is why I
Or
can't
should
get
make
into
a shitload
Canada.
off my art while living in mommy and
You know.
daddy's basement in the meantime.
yeah, right,
And,
exactly.
I shouldn't be knocking people who live in mommy and daddy's basement, but
Hey,
I mean,
if I could live at my mother's house till the day I wouldn't do that. Never mind. Anyway,
Anybody with a
I could
conscience
totally go
shouldn't.
move to a fucking farm right now.
Of course, my mom lives in Florida and has a pool. I would love
Yeah.
to live at her house.
Yeah.
I
She
would
wouldn't
love
let
to
me
live
anyway.
there.
yeah, exactly. But then we choose not to do these things because,
Yeah.
well, maybe at the end of our lives, people be like, God, that wasn't smart.
Man, you gotta run with what makes you happy, and you know, in this day and age, and the way that the political and economic climate is, you ain't gonna make no fucking money at a job anyway. You might as well go do what you love to do.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is coming from a guy who works I've been at my job almost 25 years, so like it's better, in my opinion, to just go do what you love to do, and it sounds like you're at a really good point with that.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, why live your life for somebody else, you know, unless you have obligations like
Absolutely.
a wife and kids, you know. Like my thing with like college, I mean, college is for some people, but it, you know, like schooling and shit was never for me. It's just always, I felt like it was like, why would I want to go and spend my entire youth like being thousands of dollars in debt
Absolutely.
to just get out of college and then get some job
then
where
go
my
sit in a
fucking
box all
kids,
day.
yeah,
Go
and where
sit in a
my
box
kids
all
are going to reap the benefits of all the hard work I did. Fuck
But
that.
are they really? Like, I mean,
Probably not. I mean, I'm probably not ever going to have kids anyway.
Wouldn't it be?
Yeah, but see, that's the other thing, and I'm glad you said that, is that if you do want to have kids and you do want to have a family, that is something you have to take into consideration, and that's why a lot of people...
You
like, I get
do,
into
but
this a
dude,
lot.
people raise kids on nothing.
They do.
You know what I mean?
It
Look,
can happen.
all over the world.
You
People
have to
raise
make
kids
it
on nothing.
happen.
And I think it would be more beneficial to
But
your children.
maybe the kids and the family are more important to you than the other thing. Maybe
Yeah,
for
well,
you, that's
your
what's
your
important.
children should always
right?
be,
Always, yeah.
in my opinion,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
most important thing. But I think that your children would probably grow up better adjusted seeing a father who's happy.
That's true.
He might not make money, but he's happy. Instead of some grumbling, miserable fuck who goes to a job he hates every day
Yeah.
and coming home and like drinking himself to sleep every night, or you know, and then his parents end up divorced and all this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, doesn't it make more sense? Like, I see these like artsy dads, right? Like walking around Wicker Park and shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like, I think that's pretty cool. Like, I think their kids, when you meet their kids and you talk to them, obviously,
Well, I was talking about this the other day, man. I think I made that post on Facebook, and like, dude, my friends' kids seem pretty goddamn well off. Like,
Yeah, because
and
they see
none
someone
of my
who's happy.
friends are super fucking rich or anything
No.
like that. Like,
that doesn't mean shit.
like they are.
I think
they
it's
are
more
normal
important to see
folks.
someone who's doing what they love to do. And what has more integrity?
And look at fucking Navarro. He's got like six.
He's
of
got
them, or
6.
What the fuck ever he's got. Like,
He's got 6.
I mean,
and
Jesus
but he's
Christ.
still in. And granted, he also, you know, he has to go to a job that he hates. But he also is.
But
in
he does
3
all
bands.
of his shit. And
He's in
dude,
3
that
bands
guy
that
fucking
he
works,
loves what he
man.
does. Absolutely.
He's got
He
another
doesn't slow
fucking
down at
band
all.
he's working on.
I
now.
know.
He
I
doesn't
saw
slow
that.
down.
So now 4 bands.
Yeah, dude, the guy is fucking nuts.
I
But you
think-
gotta appreciate that even
I think your
even
kids would be
people
better
have
adjusted
kids
that way.
that are in that kind of realm have managed to make it work to a certain degree.
Absolutely.
I
And
know
I
it's
think
kind of
no
a
matter
total
what-
sidetrack.
And
but-
we're very fortunate to live where we live, where we can do things like this that enable us to. We may not make money, but it gives you peace of mind, and it gives you
Yeah.
the ability to do what you want to do. And granted, be happy and pass that on. And
I think with this generation of folks, you know, our age that are having kids too, they have a more conscious, you know, mind about all the shit that's happening, you know, this day and age. So it's like they can raise their kids, you know, not to be fucking retards like a lot of the people that are ruining this country right now. So
you know, it really looks to me like you have a small group of people who are raising their kids to be not retards, which is a really good way to put it, even though it's very politically incorrect, which clearly
I
I'm
always
all about.
yeah,
and then you have
being politically correct.
yeah, that never
Jesus,
happens.
don't ever do that.
But then you have another large portion of our population that, for some reason, are raising their kids to be complete fuckheads, and like
oh, dude, oh man,
this
I
is
feel
going to come to a head at some point.
Oh, I
That's
feel so like terrible about this one. But that motherfucker that lit a firework off on his head and
Yeah.
died from it,
We're
and like
thinning the herd, dude.
then you find
Thinning
out
the
that
herd.
like his mom is like helicopter parent type thing.
What does that mean?
Like she's just fucking way overprotective and
Clearly
everything.
not. No.
Not in that case, but was when he was younger.
Jesus.
Well, yeah. See, but that's
Well,
another
that's what you
thing.
hear, and I don't want to. I mean, obviously that's terrible. Nobody wants to lose their fucking kid. I mean, that's an
course.
awful
That's the
goddamn
worst
thing to
thing ever,
happen.
but-
But there is a product of some degree, and I think it's always been there. But I think for a certain generation, and I would say that, like, even my parents a little bit were influenced by some of that when I was younger. It was like just like really protective and really kind of like
Yeah,
making
I
sure
didn't-
nothing
I didn't
bad ever
experience any of
happened.
that.
And like, you know, I was fortunate enough that once I got older, my parents let go of a lot of that shit. But I think there's a generation of parents that kept it going for so long because they were.
Dude, there's tons of them. I see these
But they
yuppie
were
parents.
so like inundated by fear from like fucking
absolutely.
media and all this shit that was like.
And they bought into it.
They bought into it, exactly. They bought into that bullshit.
I see these yuppie parents and they're like, "Oh, honey, don't do this, don't do that." Dude, I have 3 kids. I'm like, all right, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Right? Like people are like, "You're gonna let your kid do that?" I'm like, if he falls, he's gonna fall. He's gonna hit his head.
Somehow,
He ain't gonna do it
man.
again because he's gonna know that he's gonna hit his fucking head. And they're like, "But what if he gets hurt?" I'm like, you know,
That's
then he
how
gets
you
hurt,
learn,
and he's
though,
gonna do
right?
it again.
Like, I don't feel like you can learn without that shit, man.
Oh, we're especially dudes. We're the worst, man.
Oh,
We're like,
yeah.
dude, you could tell me all day the sky's blue. I'm gonna be like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like until I see it for myself, it ain't blue. But you know, you got to let a kid be a kid or a person. Anybody really. You got to let them learn. We learn best the hard way.
Absolutely, and all the people that are see that differently are the fucking crazy motherfuckers, who I don't even know. It's just it's crazy.
But I don't think I would have had that without the punk rock scene, man. Like once I got into high school and then got into that shit and then found a little club in Detroit, well, in suburban Detroit, but we had this club where fucking kids were smoking and drinking and doing what the fuck.
That's what kids do everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got
suburban Detroit, Metro Detroit. It doesn't matter.
but again, the parents I grew up with, like I was not exposed. I went to Catholic school when I was fucking younger, and then like almost went to Catholic school again, but then went to like.
But then you were an asshole, so you got kicked out.
No, I didn't get kicked out. Didn't ever get in, but. Yeah, I mean, I think if I wouldn't have found that, I don't know if I would have experienced a lot of that stuff.
How did we even get on this?
I don't really fucking care how we got on this.
I'm lost.
It's a great conversation.
I think the thing that pisses me off the most, especially with like little kids and like their parents these days, is just everybody's a fucking victim. Like
Yes.
like. Your kid goes to school and fucking some kid flicks a booger on him and you want to sue him or
Yeah.
it's just
I got
it's
bullied
come
so
the
much.
fucking on.
Yeah.
Dude.
As we pointed out, I'm a fucking nerd. I played violin when I was a kid. I was a fucking computer nerd. Like I had all the nerd traits when I was a fucking kid, man. I used to get,
you were a kid?
Dude, I used to get beat up on the bus and the bus driver every day. And the bus driver would not do anything about it. I had a kid literally take my head and fucking smash it into the window one day, and the bus driver told me to cut it out. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't
Yeah.
even laugh.
Yeah. So you think you don't grow a little bit of a thick skin from that shit?
Yeah.
Well, but see, that's...
Yeah, you think about
but
it
that's
'cause it kind of-
important. Like you say, you grow a thick skin. That's important. You need
Yeah.
that. You need... I mean, maybe you don't need to get your head bashed into whatever you got. But
Oh, no,
you
I
need-
did, man. That
You
fucking
need
was
to learn.
terrible.
You need to learn to be tough.
No,
You
I
need
learned how to fight back, man, because I
Exactly.
was like, these motherfuckers are bigger than me. And then I got picked on by another
Every now,
kid.
I've already my
broke a kid's-
4-year-old. My 4-year-old already knows the phrase. I usually leave out the word motherfucker. Every now and then you got to punch a motherfucker.
Right.
He knows every
So I
now
was
and then you got
getting
to
to.
punch somebody. I've told him that. He had a problem with a kid at daycare. He's almost 4. I'm like, hey dude, sometimes you got to punch somebody. That's all some people understand.
These are regular situations that any human being is going to get in their life, and then when you've got like when you're trying to defend yourself, and then you have parents like, oh, I'm going to sue, and everybody's a fucking pussy, everybody's a victim, and it's just like that's not how we were raised. That's not how our parents taught us. We fucking got hit with a stick or thrown a rock, and we get over it. You live and you learn, and it's just all these parents with
That's
their
PC culture,
yeah,
though,
dude,
man.
It's
And it's
fucking
not
stupid.
it's not like a getting old thing or something, because there are so many people talking about it.
Right.
When you have Jerry Seinfeld going out there and saying, okay, I think things are a little too PC these days. I'm talking about like one of the cleanest mainstream comics of all fucking time. And he's like, dude, it's gone a little too far at this point. Like then you know that something is going on that's just beyond people being like, oh yeah,
it
it's the
really
fucking
has
kids.
yeah.
Because it's not the kids. That's the thing. It's actually older people that are fucking causing this shit to happen. And it's like, dude, you
Kids
gotta
will
be able to
reflect
say
whatever
some
you
Yeah,
shit.
the people that are teaching the kids that it's wrong to defend themselves from these situations that are life
Well, then
situations,
people are always out to look for something. Look for a fucking somebody to fight against. And they are bullies in themselves, and that they bully people that don't agree with them and that might have a different upbringing or point of view. And like, look, I don't like people who are homophobes. I don't like people who are fucking racist. I don't like that shit. But you know what's not going to help this situation is just fucking attacking those people until they're fucking beaten down. Yeah. And it's like there are people that are out there just waiting for when the whole Caitlyn Jenner thing happened. It's like you saw it online. People just waiting for somebody to say something. Like they're like looking for every little goddamn thing somebody can say that maybe. And I'm actually amazed the media did not go after a lot of this shit because you saw stuff Snoop Dogg posted and blah blah. It's like, look, man.
What did Snoop Dogg say?
I don't remember.
I remember
it was something fucking dumb as shit.
When I was in the Methadones, we played a show in Milwaukee at the Rave.
Rave Eagles Ballroom.
We shared our dressing room was going to be Snoop Dogg's dressing room the next night. And so we left him some crazy note and I don't know, something about smoking weed and So, I'm always curious what, because Snoop Dogg, I mean, why wouldn't you be curious what he has to say?
But how can you, like, the guy is clearly not a terrible human being. No. Like, yeah, he's a product of how he grew up and what he became and all that stuff. But people
a lot of
were
that's
just
an act.
Sure, of course it is. But again, it's like people are just waiting to, like, I want to fucking find somebody that's going to say something I don't agree with so then I can destroy their lives. And to me, that's as bad as the other fucking bullies.
At least as bad.
Yeah, you're just as fucking bad because then you're trying to destroy somebody's life over a fucking dumb thought.
I have a lot of those.
Yeah, exactly.
Dumb thoughts.
Like you had an idiotic thought and somebody's going to destroy your fucking life over it. Like it annoys the shit out of me. Like, I'm like, dude, just let people say some dumb shit for a while, and then we'll all figure it out.
Exactly.
Do you have any idea how much of this you're going to have to edit out?
I'm not editing any of what I just said out. I have no problem with that.
A 4-hour podcast.
Yeah, I have no problem with
and you and I talked for like 3.5
Yeah, we did.
You barely talked at all. We're assholes.
Dude, I don't know, man. That shit just drives me up a wall, dude. Like... I can't get behind it. Like, I can't get behind, like, vilifying people for being... Yeah, I mean, okay, you say some really dumb shit.
It's gone over the top.
It's fine if you call somebody out on it and you're like, look, man, that's fucking a dick move. But, like, this point where it's like, you're literally going after, like, other... You're not even going after celebrities all the time. Sometimes they're trying to vilify people that just have normal fucking jobs.
Exactly.
And it's like, dude, this is one of us. And like, it's better to try and teach a lesson than to fucking just make them lose their job and then hate you and your opinion even more as a result of it.
I mean, like, times have obviously changed, and we're living in a new era where there's all kinds of different shit from, when we were growing up. But it's just like, it's how people... like these PC motherfuckers will exploit, I say like an old school dude like me or you who, would use back in the day, like your buddy's being a fucking idiot and you're like, dude, you're being a fag or whatever, and that shit was okay. But now this day and age, like somebody like us who's always known that and like used that terminology in that way, like we get ripped a fucking part by these PC motherfuckers.
Can't say that
it's just like,
anymore.
Dude, like,
well, and it's fine. If that's like a natural consequence, a natural progression of the way things go. That's fine.
Right.
Language is going to change, and certain things are going to offend people, and that's all fine.
I think that's a word that totally no longer means like a homosexual anymore. I mean, granted, it's used that way as well as a derogatory term for homosexuals, but that's a word that seems to be thrown around like just for everything now. You ever seen the South Park where...
Well, gay, too. Like, people say shit's gay all the time. That's a weird one.
I think that's going to change.
Look,
the way people use that.
I mean, that stuff is fine. I just think that if you have those thoughts, you're allowed a fucking moment to figure it the fuck out.
Right.
Like, okay... Like, tell me you don't like that, but don't, like, make me lose my job over that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think that just all goes back to the whole thing of, like, people this day and age, like, playing the victim all too much. It's... You know what? It's really not that fucking bad out there. Like, dude, somebody might say something that pisses you off or, is an ignorant comment. Just get the fuck over it. Stop being a victim. Stop acting
ignorant shit forever. But see, like when I was younger and we used to do like you know, the charity shit, and like I was, you know, involved in the ska scene and all that stuff. So there were all those anti-racism tours and that kind of shit. The point was not necessarily to vilify people who are racist.
Right.
Yes, you wanted to make them seem like that's a terrible thing, but the point was to like bring them to the other side. Like, hey, maybe you should kind of think about what you're actually saying, you know? Like, and that's what I don't get. It's like there's no teachable moment in just fucking vilifying somebody. And I get it. It's terrible in this day and age, and some people still think that way. It's fucking awful.
It is.
But what do you want? Do you want to just push them farther into that corner, or do you want to try and educate them and teach them something, you know, worthwhile? That, hey, maybe you are wrong.
I just feel like in certain circumstances with like little piddly shit, you know, like we're talking about, it makes people like so much more hateful and like all these people that want to make a big fucking deal about somebody, you know, calling somebody a fag or whatever, you know. It's like, look at all the other fucking problems. Sorry to say, you can edit that.
There's a
shit
lot
out.
bigger problems.
There's a
out there.
lot bigger fucking problems going on in this country and in this world that motherfuckers need to just pull their heads out of their ass and address those fucking
it's
things.
So much better for the people in control to make us worry about that shit.
Exactly.
Like my favorite Bill Burr bit recently is about the Duck Dynasty guy. When Bill Burr is like, did anybody not think that's what he thought? Have you seen the guy? Was that how was that a shock to anybody? Like, and it's so true. It's like, yeah, I can totally see that. Like, and we still gave him millions of dollars as a society to fucking do that dumbass TV show and all that shit. And it's like, yeah, and then he says some dumb shit and we take him off the air. And it's like, he just finally said what everybody was waiting
What
for.
everyone knew he thought to begin with.
Everyone's just like, say it.
I don't really know what you're talking about, but I have a good idea.
Oh, you know the Duck Dynasty, dude.
I've never seen it.
He basically said he went on this like homophobic religious rant and all that kind of stuff. But dude's like 90 years old from fucking the Bayou or wherever the fuck they're from.
The Bayou.
Yeah. And like, it just grew up, you know, fucking that guy. Like, and you look at him and you're like, yeah, I can totally see that guy saying that.
Yeah, that's what he would say.
Yeah. Like, it's like your fucking, you know, racist uncle. Like, you're going to be like, oh, I know it's about to happen here. Like, some shit's gonna be said, and then I'm just gonna have to walk away and be cool about it.
You'd be like, Uncle Ted is nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I'm gonna have another beer.
Oh, and that you never see either. You know, you never see people going after like celebrities and all that shit. But I guarantee you, most of these motherfuckers doing this have a racist uncle, and they don't make their racist uncle lose their job over the shit that they say. I don't see him posting videos like, here's what Uncle Tom said.
So
like,
that's a good point.
Is that show off the air?
Yeah, they took it off the air.
Because he said something unacceptable?
He got recorded like at some like church thing or something, talking about how the gays are going to hell. It's dumb, stupid shit.
Some hick from the back swamps of
and then there's no
Louisiana?
context that guy probably grew up since the day he was born being taught that shit.
Of course.
Fucking just had it hammered into his head. And so now he's saying it when he's old as fuck, but instead of people going, hey man, maybe, you know, you should think about the context of why you have that opinion, people are just like, fuck you, you're off the air, you're an asshole, blah, 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 blah. Like, no context at all. None. Just the moment that he said some really stupid shit. And it's dumb, and I don't agree with it.
Jesus
and that's
Christ,
fine.
if I was chastised for every time I said something fucking stupid.
Seriously.
God,
Holy
we'd
cow.
all be homeless. Like, yeah. Pretty much. Like, it just blows my mind. That's a great one, though. Like, I want... Anytime somebody does that from now on, I'd be like, where's your fucking uncle that's a racist? Show me a video of him. I want you to go that far. If you'll vilify your own fucking family, do that. Because you won't, because those are people you care about. Even if they're a fucking asshole, you'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Right?
Well, yeah, they're your family.
Exactly.
It's a shame we don't have any whiskey here.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Just gonna leave that there.
On that note, you got anything to plug, man?
Just some OC45 stuff coming up. Like I said, the Dark Buster reunion, the Fat Records after party, all the stuff going down in Boston, of course. We are going on tour with the Coffin Cats.
Oh, my buddy John plays for the Coffin Cats now.
The cool thing about the Coffin Cats is they are like a huge like influence to OC45. They're practically like our role models. We base what I've heard from being in OC45 is those guys, like, they've done some tours with Coffin Cats, and those guys, the Coffin Cats, take them under their wing. So they've learned like a lot of their business model from that band, and those guys are just out there killing it.
Yeah.
They're just touring nonstop, and they totally work as
so
a
hang
as a
out with
business.
John while you're doing anything with them. John's a great guy.
Cool.
He plays guitar for them, but he's a drummer primarily. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of where he started out, was playing drums. Great fucking drummer, great musician all around. He does recording, engineering stuff, and we did some songs with him before. I've done a cover with him.
Cool.
Great motherfucker, great dude. I actually just helped him and his girlfriend move a couch not
Sweet.
that long ago.
So we got the Coffin Cats run coming up at the end of August, and then we're taking the month of September off, and then we're doing another 7-week U.S. tour in
Nice.
October.
Awesome.
And that's what's on the map for that band, OC45. And then in September, I'm probably going to do some recording with Braver Days, and
Great.
that's going to sum up the...
You guys know where you're recording it yet?
Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
About what?
Braver Days recording.
Okay.
Yeah, we need somebody.
Okay.
we need to do it somewhere. OC45, they've got a producer and an engineer in Boston, so I imagine we'll be doing the full length with that guy. I still have to meet, so
Cool.
yeah, man.
Well, thanks for doing this, dude.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun. We knocked out a 12-pack.
Fucking hey.
So
Feeling pretty good.
shit happens, man. This is great.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Time to save us. When will we see there will be no freedom until we overthrow these crooks that lead us? Orwell said the pigs, they will enslave us. I just hope that there's still time to save